Like most of you, I'm sure, I've spent the whole weekend playing the Dragon Ball FighterZ Beta. There was a lot of stuff that I enjoyed, but some things I really didn't. So I wanted to leave some feedback, not to criticize the game, but constructive feedback so the devs can look at it and address these issues before the game is out. And also because I know that Bandai Namco is watching this, I felt like it's sort of my responsibility. Well, at least someone from Bandai Namco is watching this. Not sure how much power they have to change a thing. But regardless, you never know. So here's my feedback on the Dragon Ball FighterZ Beta. Let's start with what was good, and I don't have a lot of items written down here, but the ones I have I feel like are the most important ones, the ones that actually make a good game. And make no mistake, Dragon Ball FighterZ is a very, very good game, and that's precisely my first topic. The game overall is fantastic. This is something I already knew going in because I had played the game at Gamescom, but I want to re-emphasize how awesome the game is overall. The controls are super tight, the graphics are fantastic, and spending 12 hours with it, I mean, there was a time where I was getting tired around session 3, around the end of that, but the break between session 3 and session 4 was enough for me to enjoy that last session the whole time. And I would honestly play that game right now. I already miss it. My second topic is the netcode. For those who care about that stuff, the netcode is delay based, similar to how Street Fighter and Guilty Gear worked. There were some bad examples, but even those weren't terrible. The delay went up to like 19 frames, and it can be infuriating, it can be frustrating for sure. But if you're coming from other anime games like Xenoverse or the Storm games, it's nowhere near as bad as those games were when they were bad. And those were isolated cases. I mean, you can't do much for players that have a bad connection, because for the most part, the netcode was really awesome. I got multiple matches with only 1 frame delay, and most matches were between 3 and 5, so really solid on that part. My third topic is server issues, which were very little, and that's surprising for their first beta. I heard the Xbox One version had some problems. That was not my experience, as I was on the PlayStation 4, so I cannot speak to how bad the Xbox One was. But on the PlayStation 4, the servers went down for maintenance a couple of times, and those times it didn't even take that long. And I played the full 12 hours that the beta was active, all 4 sessions, and really, I think it went down 3 times at most. And it went down for like 5 to 10 minutes, nothing crazy at all. Plus, they allowed us to play CPU matches whenever that happened, so that kept us entertaining, and that allowed us to experiment with some characters because the CPU difficulty was really low, so you could just try out stuff. Alright, and with that out of the way, let's talk about the bad, starting with auto combos. So every character has 2 auto combos, one when you hit the light attack button repeatedly and another one when you hit the medium attack button repeatedly. I know why they're in the game, okay? It's for casual fans that are coming from other Dragon Ball games that are not used to fighting games, and you can't turn them off precisely because of that fan base. Even if you remove the reason why they're in the game, there are some good things to auto combos. They're good for beginners who just want to jump into the game and don't want to spend a lot of time learning different stuff. And also the auto combos, they all have unique moves that you can only perform them during an auto combo. I'm not against auto combos as a principle, but I don't like them in this game because they took it way too far. I'm okay with a character chaining 2 or 3 hits together automatically. The first auto combo of every character has a string of hits that then knocks the enemy character into the air, follows up with a super dash, and then knocks them back into the ground. That's not too bad, but I would already prefer if they forced the players to use the super dash manually, which they totally don't. And the second auto combo is just ridiculous because it ends up in a super for most cases, and I just feel like supers is something that you have to manually do. Like, don't make that easy for players. The command inputs for all the supers and all the special moves are already incredibly simplified, and that's awesome, I think. Complexity from a fighting game always comes down to mind games and not complicated, inputs. That just drives away the more casual audience, because once you get to the pro level, everyone can do those inputs. Sure, it may be more impressive to watch a professional match with complicated button inputs, but I find it just as satisfying as rewarding watching a match where I can do all the inputs, but it's interesting to see how they use them. And that's mostly the reason why I think they took things too far with the auto combos. Don't have us do super attacks, don't make us do super dashes automatically. In fact, the auto combos got in the way in some situations. For instance, I would do an auto combo, knock the opponent into the air, and then I wanted to do a Dragon Rush, which is this game's version of a grab. But because the Dragon Rush, you do it on the right bumper, that's just a combination of 2 other buttons. The game thought I wanted to continue the auto combo and not do a Dragon Rush. So instead of the Dragon Rush, it did a super dash, thinking, oh, it's just doing the auto combo still. Now I've read a comment that if you hold back and press the attack buttons, the auto combo is disabled. I didn't know this at the time, so I didn't have a chance to test it out, but if that's true, that's still a bad solution for this problem. So yeah, in general, I'm not against the idea of auto combos, but I don't like the way they're in the game right now. They took it way too far. Next, damage scaling. For those who don't know, I'll explain what damage scaling is. As you execute a combo, your attacks deal less damage over time. So if you attack an enemy with a super attack, for instance, without a combo, it will deal a lot more damage than if you do it at the end of a combo. This is done so super attacks are still incredibly powerful, but at the same time, if you have a big combo, you don't want the character to die in a single combo because the damage is just insane. So the damage gets progressively lower as the combo gets bigger. The scaling that is currently in the game is ridiculously high, to the point where most combos don't really make sense, because you'll be spending multiple bars of meter trying to prolong a combo while only dealing an extra 2 to 5%. One of the best things about this game, in my opinion, and as I watched the match during EVO, where the scaling wasn't as bad, is knowing when to tag your assist characters for a follow-up super. The game is all about trying to make your dream teams come true, and that's only the case if you can combine their supers in interesting ways. With the current build of the game, tagging in an assist character for a follow-up super isn't worth it anymore. The scaling is so ridiculous that it overall just discourages that type of playstyle. It makes this game about being good defensively and punishing your opponent here and there, rather than being a game about being creative with your combos and combining different supers together. Honestly, it just felt very discouraging to use the teleport move during a combo, or even to unleash a level 3 super if you've been dealing damage for a while. Next, the lobby experience. I didn't like it in Guilty Gear, I don't like it here. Now the lobby is still very bare bones. The only thing you could do was watch replays and enter the arena, which was just to play player matches. Obviously this will change when the game comes out, but just the overall lobby experience wasn't something that I enjoyed. First of all, I feel like I need to rotate the camera here and there, and they don't let you rotate the camera, it's a fixed angle. The stamp system is kind of bare bones, and it's a bad way to communicate. You have to scroll through a lot of stamps to find the one that you want to use. Over time, I'm sure you'll learn what all the stamps mean, but that's still kind of a bad system. And you can't even use them when you're waiting for a match, which is when you have the most downtime. You're just waiting, you can't do anything while waiting, and if you could use stamps, I guess that was something to keep us entertained. Also, you can't interact directly with other characters, like inspect what their team or their fighting history is. I don't know if this is something that will change in the future, but right now you can't do it. And also the whole lobby thing, I don't think they're doing matchmaking with any sort of MMR. For those who don't know, MMR is kind of your rank, like how good you are, so the matchmaking system matches you with similar skilled players. But looking at my match history, I would as quickly be playing with a toddler that didn't know the controls of the game, and I would be playing with a guy that absolutely destroyed me the next match. It seemed very, very random. I hope they have some proper matchmaking in the final game. Which takes me to point number 4 on the bad stuff. Matchmaking times were inexplicably long. So here's how it worked during the beta. You go to this guy and you enter the arena. When you do so, you enter a queue. All these guys standing in a circle are queued up waiting for a game, and the guys in the middle are the ones fighting. With so many people standing in the circle and the game seemingly having no MMR because every match was a flip of a coin, the time it took for the game to match me with someone else was inexplicably long. It wasn't crazy long, but it was enough for us to go, why? There are so many people here waiting, just pair me up with one of them. And again, I heard Xbox One players had it much worse. I saw some screenshots on Reddit with a bunch of players standing in a circle and no one fighting at all, but I can't speak to the Xbox One experience. Next, I don't like the fact that you have to pick your team before diving into a queue. I know Guilty Gear did it, Street Fighter also does it, but I just don't like having to go to a menu, pick my team, and then queue. And then if I want to change my team, I have to quit matchmaking, change it, and do it again. It can be pretty fast, but it's a hassle nonetheless. I know things are done this way so you cannot counterpick the enemy team, but you can just as easily have the character selection screen with the enemy team hidden until you get to the actual match. Since this was a beta, I was trying to do a lot of different things with a lot of different team comps, and changing all the time was just annoying. And finally, there was no way to practice or try out stuff. I know this is a beta and they want to test the server, so they want you playing online, but this was the first time that a lot of players were getting their hands on the game, and it's hard to try out stuff when the opposing team is trying to win. Unless you had a friend in the beta and joined an empty lobby and just tried stuff out with him, there was really no way to do it. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that with a friend because I have multiple consoles and I was able to share my account, and we did this thing where we were able to play together and practice the game. And in a way that kind of felt like cheating because both of us ended up being way above the average skill level. You know, spending 10 minutes with a character just trying out the different moves, it's a major upgrade from someone who is trying to play the game and trying to figure out stuff as they go. So the overall skill level of the players ended up being a lot lower than I would like it to be. And I don't think I'm particularly good at fighting games, but I was destroying 90% of my opponents. So hey, maybe a small tutorial or something to go through before joining the matchmaking. That would probably be a good idea for the next beta. There you go, folks. That's my experience with the Dragon Ball FighterZ Beta. We have a lot of footage and a lot of stuff we'll be releasing. I kind of took a creative approach to this whole beta. I didn't want to just record matches like most people were doing, so we have a couple of series in the oven, and we'll be releasing them over the course of this week and the next. So make sure you guys stay tuned by subscribing, enable those notifications so you know when I upload that stuff. And if you had any other problems with the beta, or if there's anything you'd like to praise as well, leave it in the comments down below. Let's start the conversation. I might have missed out something, I don't know. In the meantime, if you're in the mood for more Dragon Ball FighterZ, here's a video with the confirmed stages as well as some of the stages we'd like to see in the final game. If you're in the mood for something else, there's also this video right here. But as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.